My project is to develop a one-woman theatrical show that explores the social stigmas surrounding PTSD. The show will address the misconceptions surrounding this disorder. It'll premiere in May of 2020 with a runtime of about 60 minutes. It'll be educational but also highly entertaining. And it will also highlight the need to provide reasonable accommodations so that a disabled actor is encouraged to participate in theater. Now, when the audience first walks in, I want them to feel like they've left Tucson and they've been transported to a New York City cabaret. It's an informal space where they hear soothing music and the lights are set low in order to create a sense of intimacy. The main concept that I want to explore is the day-to-day realities of PTSD from the perspective of a civilian female. This will be done through a series of monologues, and the audience will be directly responsible for choosing the order in which the monologues are performed. Past productions and work are of vital importance when learning the discipline needed to produce theater. But when it comes to inspiration, the greatest asset a theatrical artist has is observing and living the emotional experience of life. That's why my project has a direct relationship to my training, my prior work, and as well, my life experiences. I received my MFA in acting from the Actors Studio in New York City and have worked as a professional actor for the past 11 years. Of all my prior work, the experiences I've had producing and directing shows has led me to this specific cabaret format. Now, when my husband and I were stationed in West Texas, I was the managing director of a 60-seat theater. I learned that when the stereotypical formality of theater was removed, audiences were more receptive to the transformative experiences that theater provides. Finally, the most influential relationship to this project is my life experiences. I never would have suspected that moving to Tucson, as well as becoming a military spouse, would be the greatest influence on my creativity or my mental health. I had been in counseling since the early 2000s, and it wasn't until 2 years ago that a counselor on an Air Force base recognized my symptoms of PTSD. The impact of this grant is that it will provide the infrastructure to complete this project so that I can focus on my art and not the financial pitfalls. It will also allow me to feel more connected and supported by my community because being a military spouse, I move every 3 years, which is incredibly isolating. The theater community requires trust to be built over time, which makes these military moves incompatible for a theatrical career. This grant will afford me the opportunity to actually create my own show and job. My project pushes the boundaries of content, casting, and structure. The content of PTSD is not new to theater, but it's typically from the perspective of a male, and it's usually tied to service in the military. It was once considered a psychological condition of combat veterans who were shocked by and unable to face their experiences on the battlefield. And for a long time, PTSD was not even considered a true disorder. This history is what makes it difficult for veterans to get help even to this day. But recent statistics have estimated that 1 out of 9 women develops PTSD, which means that women are twice as likely to develop this disorder over men. I want to use my artistry to provide a positive perspective of this disorder and show that disability is not disabling, but when it's validated, it has the potential for empowerment. The other way my project takes an original and imaginative approach is through the structure and format of the piece. Now, in addition to PTSD, I also have a neurological disorder, which means that I can't predict the body that I wake up with each day. I have to make sure that the structure of this play supports flexibility. This will be done through the prepared order of the performance's monologues. The audience will be asked to make choices that determine my character's actions and the plot's outcome. That way, if I have an episode on stage, there's already a built-in contingency for it. Or, dare I say, a reasonable accommodation. This is extremely risky to a theater person. I was trained that we reduce the possibility of any and all audience interference with a show. The thought of an actor not being perfect is unthinkable. But the reality is that we are all human and we eventually make mistakes. And I think this is what makes some of the best moments in a show, when the unexpected occurs and it forces the actors and the audience to be fully present in that moment. I want to prove to the theater community that while accommodations may be challenging at first, there's a huge payoff to hiring differently abled actors. I am really excited to share my artwork with the public for a 2-week run. The cabaret at the Temple of Music and Art is tailor-made for my show, seating 80 people and allowing for the intimate New York City vibe that I'm going for. After a series of workshop productions, I also plan to market this show through social media. I plan to invite my friends, family, and local PTSD survivors, as well as people from Davis-Monthan and the VA. This show is an amalgamation of my theater life colliding with my military life. This grant will allow me to creatively thank the veterans and theater professionals who've advanced my career and ultimately saved my life. Thank you for your consideration.